Do you know that not all foods should be refrigerated? Yes, you heard it right. Welcome to a world where we debunk the myth that the fridge is the ultimate preserver of all things edible. In reality, some foods, when left at room temperature, retain their flavor and nutritional value much better than when refrigerated. Today, we're going to delve into the fascinating world of these 21 foods. Foods that have been the victims of cold storage when they actually thrive outside the chilly confines of your refrigerator. This isn't just about taste, it's also about maximizing the health benefits these foods bring to the table. So, whether it's the succulent tomato sitting on your counter or the ripe banana hanging in your fruit basket, you're in for some surprising revelations. Are you ready to discover which foods you've been incorrectly storing in your refrigerator? Let's dive in. First on our list is the humble tomato. You may be surprised to learn that refrigerating tomatoes is a culinary no-no. It's a simple fact that the cold temperature of a refrigerator can dull the vibrant flavor of a ripe tomato. So, if you're after that fresh, juicy taste, it's best to leave your tomatoes out on the counter. Next up, we have melons. Whether it's watermelon, cantaloupe, or honeydew, storing these fruits at room temperature is the way to go. The reason? Refrigerating them can actually decrease their aromatic compounds, which are essential for that sweet melon flavor we all love. So, keep your melons out of the fridge and let them ripen naturally on your kitchen counter. Third on our list are potatoes. Now, you might think that the cool, dark environment of a refrigerator would be perfect for storing these starchy vegetables. However, the cold temperature can actually cause the starch in potatoes to convert into sugar more rapidly, leading to a sweeter taste and a darker color when cooked. Instead, store your potatoes in a cool, dry space, away from the fridge. Moving on to basil, a fragrant herb that brightens up many a dish. But did you know that basil doesn't fare well in cold temperatures? Refrigeration can cause it to wilt and lose its flavor. A better idea is to store basil at a temperature above 40 degrees Fahrenheit, in water, and away from direct sunlight, much like a bouquet of flowers. And finally, we have bananas. These tropical fruits ripen best at room temperature. When you put bananas in the fridge, the cold slows down the ripening process, leaving you with a fruit that's not quite as sweet or soft as it should be. So let your bananas hang out on your counter until they're perfectly ripe and ready to eat. Remember, these are common foods that we often make the mistake of refrigerating, but now you know better. Stay tuned for more foods that you should keep out of the fridge. Moving on, we have onions, cucumbers, butter, honey, and mature white wines. Let's start with onions. Moisture is the nemesis of these tear-jerkers. Keeping them in the fridge can make them moldy and mushy. Instead, store them in a well-ventilated, dry place, away from potatoes, as they release gases that can speed up an onion's decay process. Next, we have cucumbers. Despite being cool as a cucumber, they don't do well in cold temperatures. Refrigerating cucumbers can make them watery and pitted. They're happiest on your kitchen counter, but if you must refrigerate them, wrap them in a paper towel inside a plastic bag before placing them in the crisper. Butter now is a bit of a debate. Some people swear by refrigerating it, while others say it's safe on the counter. The truth is, it depends on how fast you use it. If you use butter quickly, it's okay to leave it out in a covered dish. But if you're not a frequent butter user, it's better to refrigerate it and take out small amounts as needed. Honey, nature's liquid gold, is up next. Cold temperatures can cause honey to crystallize, making it difficult to use. It's best to keep honey in your pantry at room temperature, away from direct sunlight and heat sources. And lastly, for this segment, let's raise a glass to mature white wines. These sophisticated beverages lose their nuanced flavors when refrigerated. Serve mature white wines at slightly warmer temperatures to fully appreciate their complexity. If you've chilled a bottle and haven't finished it, no worries. Just let it come back to room temperature before storing it away. It's quite surprising, isn't it? But we have more surprising foods to go. Next up are oils, garlic, peanut butter, hot sauces, chocolate, and peaches. Let's start with oils. Most oils are perfectly fine at room temperature. Refrigerating them can cause them to solidify, which is not only inconvenient for cooking, but it can also alter their flavors. To keep your oils fresh and flavorful, simply store them in a cool, dry place away from direct sunlight. Moving on to garlic. Garlic thrives in a dry, warm spot. When refrigerated, it can quickly become moldy and lose its robust flavor. So, to maintain that punchy taste, keep your garlic bulbs in a well-ventilated area out of the fridge. Next is peanut butter. Now, we all love a good PB&J, right? But refrigerating your peanut butter can make it hard and difficult to spread. To keep it smooth and creamy, just store it in your pantry. And what about hot sauces? While refrigeration won't spoil hot sauces, it can reduce their strength. For a full flavor kick, keep your hot sauces at room temperature. Now let's talk about chocolate. The fridge can be a real enemy to your favorite sweet treat. Cold temperatures can alter both the taste and texture of chocolate, leading to a less satisfying indulgence. So keep your chocolate in a cool, dry place, but not in the fridge. Finally, we have peaches. Refrigerating them can hinder their ripening process, leaving them hard and less flavorful. To enjoy juicy, ripe peaches, store them at room temperature until they're just right. So as you can see, it's not just about preserving food, it's also about preserving flavor and texture. In the next section, we'll discuss the final 5 foods that you should avoid refrigerating. Stay tuned! And finally, we have aged specialty cheese, coffee beans, bread, citrus fruits, and cake. Starting with aged specialty cheese, it's a culinary delight that's best kept out of the cold. The refrigeration can mute the rich flavors that have been carefully cultivated during the aging process. Instead, wrap your cheese in wax paper and store it in a cool, dark place to retain its full-bodied flavor. Next up, we have coffee beans. Cold temperatures can cause the aromatic oils in coffee beans to condense, which negatively impacts the flavor. Instead, store your beans in an airtight container in the pantry. This will ensure that every cup of joe you brew is as robust and flavorful as the last. Moving on to bread. While it's true that refrigerating bread can prevent mold, it also speeds up the staling process, making your bread hard and unsatisfying. Unless you plan on eating the whole loaf within a few days, it's best to store your bread in a cool, dry place and freeze any excess. Up next are citrus fruits. While you might think the fridge is the ideal place to keep your oranges, lemons, and limes, these fruits actually prefer room temperature. Cold temperatures can cause the skin to become pithy and the fruit to lose its juiciness. So, keep your citrus fruits on the counter for optimal freshness and flavor. Lastly, we have cake. If your cake is frosting-free, it can stay on the counter for up to 3 days. Refrigeration can dry out your cake, making it less enjoyable. However, if your cake does have frosting, it's best to keep it in the fridge to prevent the frosting from melting. So, these are the foods you should keep out of your refrigerator for better taste and longer shelf life. That was quite a list, wasn't it? We covered 21 different foods that you might be surprised to learn should never see the inside of your refrigerator. From tomatoes and melons that need room temperature for their flavors to fully shine, to potatoes and onions that prefer a cool, dry space. We also looked at basil, which needs a little extra care, and bananas, cucumbers, and butter that are best kept outside the fridge. And let's not forget honey, mature white wines, and oils that can all be stored at room temperature. Garlic, peanut butter, hot sauces, and chocolate also made the list, along with peaches, aged specialty cheese, coffee beans, bread, citrus fruits, and even cake. By storing these foods properly, we can maintain their flavor, freshness, and nutritional value. Remember, excessive sugar intake can lead to health issues. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel Body Bits TV. Which of these foods are you guilty of refrigerating? Let us know in the comments.